Moto Godlings. It's great to be here with you. I'm finally getting settled into some sort of semblance of a routine in my life in the new digs. I'm trying to bridge the seas here between absolute silence and a little bit of background, and between the digital one and my wee captive aquatic environment behind me over this shoulder. And I'm also attempting a new format for how I do my podcast for you. And what I've been doing is, while I've not been doing podcasts, is I've been writing video materials, files to myself, so that I could present them to you as they come to me, or within a short time afterwards. I'm writing it all down when Michael has me channeling something for him. So today I'm going to give you the start of one that I channeled for him about 5 days ago. I did another one for him today, but we're not going to do that because I like to keep the videos fairly short, lest my scintillating prose put everyone to sleep. Okay, so today we want to talk about, by the way, all of these are going to be compiled in a book we've just started working on, that you've known about. We announced a while back, The Dream of Awakening. So we're going to be compiling all of these talks and more into that book. So as they arrive in my experience, I'm going to try and get them to you with as small a delay as possible so that they're fresh. Today we want to talk about a variety of things. One of them is consciousness versus unconsciousness. What is conscious? What is unconscious? The unconscious has gotten a reputation, at least I know I've always considered it for a long time. I considered it to be some vast, untappable, uncontrollable, unpredictable aspect of myself. However, I realize all of that mystique is unwarranted. I realize all of that mystique is unwarranted now, because I've found that you can make the unconscious conscious pretty easily. It's not difficult at all. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. First of all, we're gonna say, okay, the first thing that should trigger you into noticing that you have gone unconscious, that is, fallen into identification with some story or the character you play in the dream of the world, is that you're suffering. Anytime you're suffering at all, physical, mental, emotional, anxiety, you have lost your lucidity. Use the pain itself to make you lucid. If you're a lucid dreamer, you know that you generally you plant seeds in your mind that it will use certain tokens if they occur in the dream state to make you lucid, so that you know you're dreaming. Okay, this is a signal to you, Colleen, in other words, to become lucid. All right, that something is amiss, you're dreaming and you've lost your lucidity, and now this should make you become lucid. So that is the same thing you're doing in the dream of the world. You're going to appoint suffering first as the thing that should make you lucid, and this will really very quickly teach you how to simply release grievances or transmute them, and to change the directives in your mind lens, which you constructed unconsciously, simply meaning you didn't critically interrogate and approve, or renovate and approve the beliefs, the self-statements. Lie is in the middle of the word beliefs, so the beliefs, the self-statements, you did not consciously approve many of them. In fact, many of them were guggered deeply into your nervous system by pain. So that you were basically what we call traumatized, and that is the event or the painful memory is echoed in the mind lens, self-talk, many more times, much more frequently, and with much greater imperative value to it when it's mentioned, okay, in your self-talk. You are not, again, conscious that this is going on. That's part of the problem. If you were conscious, really paying attention to the thing that you're saying, the things you're saying to yourself that are generating your suffering, you would realize that you have all power over this process. Very quickly, you would realize this. So what you learn to do is either, in my case, I transmute a lot of suffering, a lot of things that have been painful, and in fact, I regard pain as an opportunity. Any kind of pain. I don't like it, not looking for it's going to come whether I want it or not. So I've come to regard it as my friend that is here to teach me to take back some more of my sovereignty over my experience. So any kind of discomfort for me now makes me very lucid, and I interrogate using the practice. I interrogate what I'm saying to myself, what's in the mind. I audit the mind, what's going on in there, what am I saying to myself? Put it into words very candidly, as honestly and succinctly as possible, and with all the emotions in it so that I can really feel what's going on in there. And then I assess it. Well, is that really true? It's not. Almost never is it true. It's not. Is it fair to everyone involved? No, it's only fair to me. It paints me in the best or the most victimized light, the story, the narrative that's behind the self-talk, okay? So once you see that it's not serving you, it's not true, it's not serving you, you're able to take back your power right away, because the only power that self-talk ever had over you or your perceptions, you gave it by believing in it unconsciously. So when you put it, a lot of times we hide things from ourselves by never saying them to ourselves and only experiencing them as emotions that cause us to behave unconsciously in manners that are destructive to ourselves and others. And we keep these things secret from ourselves, hidden in the form of emotions, rather than ever put it into words, because as soon as we put it into words, we're going to see, okay, undeniably, how full of malarkey it is. And there are many reactions to this. You can either laugh it off, which is I typically laugh every time I go free of some self-talk I was holding my own joy hostage to and giving power over me every time. I laugh about it, okay? Sometimes I cry at the same time. I always laugh when I cry, but I don't always cry when I laugh. It has to be a really good joke. So, the other thing you learn to do, transmuting things, is simply reframing them. You begin to see that you make friends with the thing that has come to pass. It has, after all, come to pass, so allow it to pass. Let it go, all right? This is like, the other alternative is if you can't transmute it by reframing it to your good and seeing the horse instead of the horse shit in your life. If you can't do that, you can simply release it. You can simply defer to judge. You can assume that there's a pony with the pile and just be willing to wait for the pony to reveal itself. But you have to be friendly to the concept of the pony. That is, you have to make friends with the whole didactic experience, realizing it is here, trying to educate you to where cause is, and as a clue, you're it. Okay, so what does it look like to be unconsciously identified? You know, this may feel like a nebulous concept. I want to make sure people understand. You know the moment that you are unconsciously identified with something that is not you, the very moment you're suffering. The moment you notice you're suffering, you should realize you have come to identify with something that can suffer. And what you are cannot suffer, nor can it die. It can dream it dies. But all of this is a dream. So, if questioning your own self-talks and beliefs makes you uncomfortable instead of seeing it, for the tool that it is, you can suspect reasonably that you're identified with some self-talk, some lens in your mind that you really don't want to let go. It's an illness. It's a fear. It's a sad story that makes up your identity. And you're afraid that if you change your identity, that you will cease to be, and that you will somehow not be honoring the sacred identity you have always been. But this is not so. You are none of these stories. You are the one telling the stories. So if you will be true to that one who was telling the stories, you realize a slowly growing, uncaused joy, a certain buoyancy, a levity in life where it's more poignant but less scary. It's more beautiful and not at all threatening. And this is a blessed place to be. I invite you here through exercise of the practice. And the practice is interrogating your own self-talk. What am I saying to myself in these emotions? Is it true? Is it fair? Is it serving me? Is it serving anyone? And if not, then why am I giving it any power to cause me to suffer? Because I was unconsciously identified. But believe me, the moment you actually bring consciousness to this and look at it, put your attention on it, you're going to see it in a new way, and an aha thing is going to happen where you go, I don't have to give my power to anything. I don't have to consent to anything. I don't have to participate. Consciousness itself, conscious of itself. No world can hold what I am become. And this is the freedom I want for everyone, of course. Okay, so I want you to understand that it is because you have the power to transmute and rename, reframe, re-experience, change the narrative that you are actually free, you are actually you, because you are not the products of those narratives. The experiences are the products of those narratives, their emotional responses, and they're a lens, they're lenses through which you experience the story of your life. But if you're experiencing the story of your life as the consciousness who is the designer of the lens, the architect of the self-talk, it's an entirely different experience. The narrow gate is the gate of being consciousness itself, conscious of itself. Nothing else is really important. Until you know what you are, until you have located your true self, and you know yourself, experience yourself, abiding as the observer of the observer. You are abiding in lucidity. Until you are there, nothing else really matters. Everything else is just a distraction. It's wasting your time. Oh, manifest this, manifest that. No! First know who the hell you are, and then everything else comes right along with it as soon as you are centered in who and what you are. Okay, I don't mean to get so intense. Okay, so the misapprehension that you will cease to be you will cease to be if you rename it all. If you totally renovate your belief system and rename everything, you go, well, how is that anything real then? You're what's real. Look at the world coming apart today. It's coming apart in what we can count on as being real. And it's perfectly poetic because there we are exteriorizing the question, what is real? Am I real? Is anything real? You are real. You are simply not whom you have taken yourself to be. And when all the mistaken identifications are stripped away, revealed will be the great I am that you are. Eternal. Okay. So, before we get to that blessed state, though, we have to do a little bit of work typically because the world has taught you to believe things about yourself that are simply not true. But you really have integrated them in the belief system that is the lens, your mind, your self-talk through which you view the world and actually create it. Because there's no world out there. There is consciousness. And everything is happening in consciousness. And your mind is your personal theater of the story of what happens to you here in this particular dream of life in Earth venue. So you have to prepare first the soil of your mind. You have to clean it out of bullshit. It's presently robbing you of energy that you're giving your control over your emotions and your joy and your centeredness and your peace. You're giving it away to these beliefs. And once you discover them one by one, it becomes an ongoing process and it's wonderful. It's like a new tool in your toolbox and it's your favorite tool. Screw the rest of the box. This is the thing. Lucidly interrogating your belief system and being its architect and realizing you have the power to decide what you tell yourself, what you look for, what you find. Whether you keep your eyes down on the piles of horse poo strewn around the backyard of your life, or are you going to assess the poo as pony sign and scan the horizon? Start looking for the ponies because it's where you put your attention that you find your treasure. Okay, so you have to prepare the mind lens after you've gotten rid of all the tosh you choose. And you don't get rid of it all at once, but once you're really in the stride and the practice of just interrogating your own belief system and renovating it then, as its architect, you have to then prepare the mind lens for the experiences that you want. You want an experience of empowerment, okay? But if you believe the world just doesn't work that way, if you believe you don't deserve your desires to be realized, if those beliefs are in your mind, if you don't believe what you're looking for is even possible, what you want, okay, it will surely not materialize because the mind is where you plant the seeds of your desires. And if the mind is ready to receive them, they then grow and they sprout and eventually they take over your perceptions and they flower, they bear fruit out into your experience in the world. It doesn't take that long. 3 to 4 weeks of being true to a practice, of using the practice and then using a manifestation, which I've described a lot elsewhere, but using a manifestation in order to create for yourself an experience in every emotion and sensation possible of whatever it is you will to experience, using those capacities at your godliest state. And you can use those provided you believe it is possible for it to work this way to create exteriorizations of what it is you will to experience. Once you have allowed quantum information into your belief system and updated it so you realize, oh, Jesus, miracles should have been happening all along, I just didn't believe in them and so they didn't occur. Once you've updated that, You've got to then deal with the worthiness issue, because most people, I'm sure maybe all people have the secret suspicion that they're bad. Well, except for really bad people. Really bad people don't think they're bad. They're the heroes and heroines of their own stories. But good people who will to do good and be good are quite a bit more judgmental of themselves and not very forgiving of their own. They're not shortcomings. They're the alleys, the walkways, the paths through the forests of experiences that we come to find our best self and be our best self and trust that our best self is entirely worthy. Okay, so all self-talk, all stories, this is key, get their power to cause your suffering from you. Anxiety, for instance, gets all of its power over you from your attention to it. I was so riddled with anxiety while going through Lexapro withdrawals, such a terrible feeling of dread. And the anxiety attacks were just, it's a chemical event cascade through your body where you think you're going to die and you really wish you would. Just let's get it over with. It happened to me so much that I came to a point where I didn't care. I would rather be dead. And after that, I reached the point where I said, I don't have to participate. I don't have to participate in this, and I'm not going to participate in this anymore. And every time a triggering thought ran through my mind like a cockroach, through my mind that would normally trigger the chemical event cascade in my body that we call anxiety, I would simply turn my attention to something that required me to actually focus. Away from the anxiety. Anxiety is like a neurochemical circuit that you trample down over and over and over again, and you become not only you not only have generalized anxiety, you have fear of the anxiety itself, which compounds the situation until you learn simply to withdraw your attention. It sounds like it can't be that simple. It's really that simple. Withdraw your attention. What you want to build, on the other hand, put your attention on. If you're looking for ponies, keep your eyes up on the horizon. If you're looking for fertilizer for your garden, keep your eyes down. This is how we simply focus attention. But we do it unconsciously most of the time, not as a present, conscious, lucid awareness, abiding in that lucidity as the observer of the observer who becomes the chooser of what we allow in our belief system, what we manifest with the lens of what is in our mind, the self-talk that determines what can and cannot be for each individual based on what that godling, who is the God of all their reckonings, says is for them possible and available. And what I want you to do, my lovelies, is to focus not on being the story or the mind, but on what is eternal. The thing that is looking is the thing you are looking for. That is eternal. Be that. Focus on that. Use the practice. Focus your attention and your will on manifesting what you want to experience, what you want to contribute to the world, because you must become the thing you want to give to the world. You must step into the energetic resonance of that identity where that is possible. Being your best self, bringing that to the world. Because your best self is your higher self. You're fully conscious, lucid, in the dream of the world self, who loves you madly, but would really like for you to step aside, put out for just a little while your chronic belief in that little